Today, we are diving deep into the ongoing situation with Tisha from Love and Marriage Huntsville and the rumors around her refusing to sit down with Coleslaw on camera. This situation has been creating a lot of chatter, and many people are wondering why Tisha will not engage in any kind of conversation with Coleslaw. From what we have observed, there are multiple reasons behind this, and it's not just about loyalty or drama. It goes much deeper than what fans may think when they see the show. It all started when Martell reportedly suggested that Tisha should have a conversation with Arian. This suggestion seems simple at first, but it has created a ripple effect in the dynamics between Tisha, Martell, and the other cast members. Martell's idea was that this conversation could provide more screen time for Arian and potentially give some content for the show. However, this plan has not been welcomed by Tisha, and she has made it very clear that she has no intention of sitting down with Coleslaw, and by extension, no intention of talking with anyone associated with side chick drama in the same way. Tisha's position is clear. She is married, she is committed, and she has spent years building a life and a family with Morrow. Her priorities are her relationship, her children, and the life they are creating together. She does not see any benefit in sitting down with someone who has caused harm, or who could potentially exploit personal situations for attention or profit. Tisha understands the kind of power she holds within her circle, and she is very cautious about giving that power away to someone who may misuse it. Some people have asked why Tisha seems unwilling to engage with Coleslaw, especially considering Martell's insistence. The answer is rooted in boundaries and self-preservation. Over the years, Tisha has witnessed what can happen when side chicks or outside parties are given a platform. They often make claims, sometimes true, sometimes exaggerated, and they use that attention to gain money, notoriety, or influence. For Tisha, engaging in such a conversation is not only unnecessary, but it also risks undermining the privacy and integrity of her family life. Tisha's stance is also a reflection of her values. She has been raised to be a wife, and she has a clear understanding of commitment and what it means to stand by someone through thick and thin. She knows that relationships are complicated, that mistakes happen, and that there is no perfect person. Her decision to avoid these on-camera confrontations does not mean she is weak or naive. It means she has chosen a path that prioritizes stability, discretion, and protecting her family. Martell, on the other hand, appears frustrated. His frustration is evident in his actions and his public statements, where he tries to push the idea that this conversation should happen for content purposes. Martell seems to be seeking validation, attention, and perhaps a bit of leverage by orchestrating these interactions. However, it is clear that his efforts are not going to change Tisha's mind. She has drawn a firm line in the sand, and nothing Martell or Coleslaw can do will make her cross it. The dynamic between Tisha and Morrow is also important to understand. They have been building a life together, including a large home that Morrow is actively working on. This home is more than just a property. It represents the life they are creating, the dreams they are pursuing, and the family unit they are maintaining. Tisha's focus on this project reflects her commitment to her marriage and her desire to keep her family secure and happy. She is not distracted by outside drama because she knows that maintaining her marriage and her household requires focus and dedication. Another factor in this situation is the history of side chick appearances on the show. Previous experiences have shown that when side chicks are given a platform, it often leads to controversy, false claims, and a lot of unnecessary attention. These appearances may create drama, but they also create conflict and tension that can be damaging to the people involved. Tisha has observed these patterns and has decided that it is not worth the risk. She knows that sitting down with someone like Coleslaw could open a door that is better left closed. Fans may also notice that Tisha's stance is different from other wives on the show. While some may choose to confront side chicks or engage in public disputes, Tisha chooses discretion. This does not make her less outspoken or less strong. In fact, It demonstrates her ability to control the narrative in her own life. She understands that responding to provocation is not always the smartest move, especially when it can affect her family and her reputation. Tisha's refusal to engage publicly is a calculated decision based on experience, insight, and long-term thinking. Martell's frustration with this situation is further complicated by his own history. Allegedly, he has had multiple affairs, which makes the contrast between his behavior and Tisha's choices more striking. He may expect others to be open to confrontation or public discussion because he himself has navigated relationships in this way. However, Tisha does not operate under the same mindset. She values commitment and loyalty, and she is unwilling to put herself in a position where she might be manipulated or drawn into unnecessary drama. The discussions around this situation are not just about individual choices. They also reflect broader patterns in relationships and media exposure. Reality TV often thrives on conflict, drama, and confrontation. But not everyone wants to participate in that environment. Tisha's decision highlights the difference between creating content and protecting one's personal life. While some may be motivated by attention, Tisha prioritizes her family and her marriage over public recognition. There is also a financial aspect to consider. Side chicks or outside parties who appear on camera often gain financial benefits, sponsorships, or social media influence. Tisha is aware of this dynamic and does not want to create a situation where her family or her personal life could be exploited for profit by someone else. Her decision to avoid these confrontations protects not only her privacy, but also the potential vulnerabilities that could arise from public exposure. The reactions from fans have been mixed. Some fans feel that Tisha should engage with Coleslaw to provide clarity or address rumors. Others understand her stance and respect the boundaries she has set. This mixed reaction highlights the difference between entertainment expectations and real-life decision-making. While fans may crave drama and confrontation, the reality is that these choices have real consequences for the people involved, particularly for a wife who is invested in her marriage and family. Coleslaw, in this scenario, is also a complex figure. She appears to seek attention and possibly financial gain from these interactions. From Tisha's perspective, sitting down with Coleslaw is unnecessary because there is no mutual respect or shared interest that would make the conversation productive. Any interaction would likely be exploitative or sensationalized, which further justifies Tisha's refusal. It is also worth noting the influence of Tisha's social circle. Other wives, such as Kimmy, serve as examples of loyalty and support within the community. Tisha operates within a network that values commitment and discretion, and she draws strength from the choices and behaviors of those around her. This network provides guidance and reinforces the importance of maintaining boundaries, especially when dealing with individuals who may have conflicting intentions. The ongoing developments with Marrow and their home project also reinforce Tisha's priorities. She is focused on building a life, not on creating drama. Marrow's involvement in constructing their dream home shows a commitment to the future and the family's stability. This is a tangible representation of their shared goals and reinforces why Tisha sees no reason to be distracted by side chick confrontations or media appearances. Martell and Coleslaw's frustration is understandable from a content perspective, but it also highlights the difference between personal priorities and entertainment objectives. While Martell may be looking for screen time or public engagement, Tisha is looking for stability, security, and privacy. This fundamental difference explains why the proposed conversation will never happen and why Tisha remains steadfast in her decision. It is also important to address the historical context. In previous seasons, side chicks have appeared on camera, made allegations, and shared information that may or may not have been accurate. Tisha has witnessed these patterns and understands the potential consequences of engaging with such individuals. Her decision is informed by past experiences and a desire to avoid repeating mistakes that others have made. The influence of social media also cannot be ignored. Public exposure can amplify every statement, action, or reaction. Tisha is acutely aware of how quickly information can spread and how easily situations can be misinterpreted or sensationalized. By refusing to participate in these confrontations, she maintains control over her narrative and minimizes the risk of public misrepresentation. Tisha's approach also reflects a broader perspective on marriage and commitment. She understands that being a wife involves more than appearances or public statements. It involves daily decisions, compromises, and maintaining focus on what truly matters. Her refusal to engage with Coleslaw is consistent with this perspective, as she prioritizes long-term stability over short-term drama. Another aspect of this situation is the difference between intentions and outcomes. Martell may intend for the conversation to create drama, content, or attention, but the outcome for Tisha would likely be negative. Engaging in a public dispute with Coleslaw could result in stress, exposure, and potential damage to her family's reputation. Tisha's refusal ensures that the outcome aligns with her priorities rather than external pressures. It is also worth considering the psychological and emotional dynamics. Tisha is not simply avoiding conflict. She is making a conscious decision to protect her emotional well-being. Engaging with someone who has a history of creating tension or exploiting relationships could be emotionally draining and counterproductive. By maintaining her boundaries, Tisha preserves her mental and emotional health, which is essential for her role as a wife and mother. The perspective shared by Desiree, a friend or commentator, adds another layer to this discussion. She points out that Tisha's decision is not about loyalty to Melody or anyone else. It is about her role as a wife and her understanding of the power and responsibility that comes with that position. Tisha recognizes that she has information and insight that could be misused, and she chooses not to give that power away. Looking at the broader context of reality television, Tisha's decision challenges the expectations that viewers and producers often have. Reality TV thrives on confrontation, drama, and sensationalism. But Tisha demonstrates that it's possible to prioritize integrity and personal boundaries over entertainment. Her actions serve as a reminder that participants in these shows are not obligated to sacrifice their values for the sake of content. The ongoing work that Marl is doing on their home is also symbolic. It represents not only physical construction, but also the building of a life, a legacy, and a secure future. Tisha's focus on this project reinforces why she is not interested in side chick drama. Her energy is directed toward constructive and meaningful pursuits, rather than engaging in petty disputes or public conflicts. Martell and Coleslaw, meanwhile, remain in a different space. They may be seeking validation, attention, or a sense of power through these interactions, but Tisha is not participating in their game. Her refusal demonstrates discipline, foresight, and a clear understanding of what matters most in her life. The idea that side chicks could gain financial or social benefits from appearing on camera is another reason why Tisha avoids these interactions. She is aware that any engagement could potentially create opportunities for exploitation. By refusing to participate, she protects her family from unnecessary exposure and potential manipulation. Tisha's decision is further reinforced by her observation of past incidents on the show. Side chicks have appeared, made claims, and sometimes caused chaos. Tisha has learned from these experiences and understands the importance of maintaining control over her own narrative. She does not need to validate or respond to external claims because her reality is grounded in her life with Morrow and her children. Another critical point is the contrast between public appearances and private commitment. While some may expect public confrontations or explanations, Tisha prioritizes private fidelity, loyalty, and stability. Her choices reflect a deep understanding of marriage and the responsibilities it entails. She values actions over appearances and substance over spectacle. Martell's frustrations, while understandable from his perspective, do not change Tisha's position. He may hope for confrontation, for drama, or for content creation, but Tisha's boundaries are firm. She has made a conscious decision to maintain her dignity protect her family, and avoid unnecessary conflict. In summary, Tisha's refusal to sit down with Coleslaw is rooted in multiple factors: her commitment to her marriage, her desire to protect her family, her awareness of potential exploitation, and her understanding of the dynamics of reality TV. She has observed the patterns of past interactions, considered the consequences, and chosen a path that aligns with her values and priorities. Tisha represents a clear example of a person who prioritizes personal integrity and family over public validation or drama. Her decision is not about fear or weakness. It's about understanding what is worth her energy and what could potentially harm her or her family. She has chosen to focus on constructive pursuits like building a home and nurturing her family, rather than engaging in confrontations that offer no meaningful benefit. Martell and Coleslaw's attempts to orchestrate a conversation will not succeed because Tisha has already made a conscious and informed choice. She understands her power, her boundaries, and her responsibilities, and she is unwilling to compromise them for the sake of screen time drama or public attention. Her stance is a reminder that in relationships, especially those in the public eye, not every situation requires engagement or confrontation. Sometimes, the strongest response is to maintain focus, protect one's family, and choose battles that are truly worth fighting. Tisha embodies this approach and shows that commitment and foresight often outweigh public spectacle. The ongoing developments with her home and family further reinforce her priorities. Tisha's life is centered around stability, growth, and long-term goals. Her decisions reflect careful thought, experience, and a commitment to what truly matters. Engaging with Coleslaw would be a distraction from these priorities and could potentially jeopardize the very things she has worked so hard to build. Even when Martell expresses frustration, it does not sway Tisha. Her boundaries are firm. Her priorities are clear. And her commitment to her family is unwavering. This is not just a personal choice. It is a reflection of a larger philosophy about loyalty, discretion, and integrity in relationships. In conclusion, Tisha's refusal to speak with Coleslaw on camera is not an arbitrary decision. It is a carefully considered choice that reflects her values, priorities, and understanding of the potential consequences. She is committed to her marriage, focused on her family, and aware of the dynamics at play in reality television. She chooses to protect her life, her family, and her integrity over participating in drama or public confrontation. Tisha's actions show strength, wisdom, and foresight. She demonstrates that real power often lies in restraint, discretion, and the ability to focus on what truly matters. While Martell and Coleslaw may continue to push for confrontation, Tisha remains resolute, proving that loyalty, commitment, and personal integrity are stronger than drama, attention, or public spectacle. Tisha is building a life that is meaningful and fulfilling, centered around her family, her home, and her marriage. Her decision to avoid confrontation is not just about avoiding conflict. It is about making intentional choices that serve her long-term goals. She prioritizes what is real, important, and lasting over what is fleeting, sensational, or superficial. Her story is a lesson for viewers, fans, and others watching the dynamics unfold. It shows that being married and committed in a world full of temptation, drama, and public scrutiny requires careful thought, boundaries, and discipline. Tisha's refusal to sit down with Coleslaw is an example of how one can maintain integrity while navigating complicated social and media landscapes. By observing Tisha's actions, it is clear that she is not motivated by public perception or by the expectations of others. She is motivated by her values, her responsibilities, and her vision for the life she wants to lead. This focus on long-term priorities over short-term drama sets her apart from many other participants in reality television. Ultimately, Tisha's stance will remain unchanged. She will continue to prioritize her marriage, her family, and her home. She will not engage with coleslaw, and she will not allow outside influences to disrupt the life she has carefully built. Martell's frustrations and attempts to create drama will not alter her path, and her commitment to her principles is unwavering. Tisha's story also serves as a reminder that not all drama is worth engaging in. Choosing when to respond and when to remain silent is a skill that requires experience, insight, and strength. By refusing to participate in a conversation with coleslaw, Tisha demonstrates that true power lies in knowing which battles are worth fighting and which are best left alone. Her decisions also highlight the difference between real life and reality television expectations. Fans may crave confrontation and public engagement, but Tisha prioritizes reality, the well-being of her family, the stability of her marriage, and the integrity of her home. She understands that the most important aspects of life are not always visible on camera, and that some things are better protected from public scrutiny. In the end, Tisha's refusal to engage with coleslaw is a statement of strength, commitment, and foresight. She is building a life that is meaningful and protected, and she refuses to allow outside influences to disrupt that life. Martell and coleslaw may be frustrated, but Tisha remains unshaken, focused, and resolute. Her story teaches an important lesson. Sometimes the most powerful action is not confrontation, but restraint. Sometimes the most important battles are fought in private, with careful consideration of the consequences. Tisha exemplifies this principle, showing that loyalty, discretion, and commitment often outweigh public attention, drama, and sensationalism. As fans continue to follow Love and Marriage Huntsville, Tisha's actions will remain a central point of discussion. She has chosen her path, defined her boundaries, and made it clear that she will not be swayed by external pressures. Her refusal to sit down with coleslaw is a reflection of her priorities, her values, and her understanding of what truly matters in life. Through this lens, it becomes clear why Tisha is not just refusing a conversation. She is making a deliberate choice to protect everything she values. Her marriage, her family, her home, and her personal integrity are non-negotiable. This approach provides a blueprint for others who may face similar situations, demonstrating that strength, wisdom, and discernment are essential in maintaining a stable and fulfilling life. Even as Martell and coleslaw continue to push for drama, Tisha's resolve will remain unbroken. She is aware of the implications, the potential for exploitation, and the long-term consequences of engaging with someone like coleslaw. Her decision reflects careful thought, experience, and a clear understanding of her priorities. In this situation, Tisha is not just protecting herself, she is protecting her family, her future, and the legacy she is building with Morrow. Her actions reflect a commitment to stability, foresight, and integrity, and they serve as a reminder that not every opportunity for confrontation is worth pursuing. Sometimes, the most meaningful choices are the ones that prioritize long-term well-being over short-term attention.